I've been cursed. That's right, when I was just a kid. Opened up an email to find I had made a big mistake. If I didn't pass it on, I wouldn't make it to see morning. Sound familiar? Curses have been part of the human experience since well before we started writing things down. When a cause of death is misunderstood, curses can provide an explanation or an outlet for anger. And even if we don't want to admit it, curses have stuck around into the 21st century. Tonight we're going to be exploring a modern type of curse. A curse that you can send at the press of a button, or one that can manifest into your life without warning. Let's look together into the strange and terrifying world of the cursed email. By 2022, email has become a completely outdated medium. Other than for business, our emails have really become an endless landfill of receipts, coupons, newsletters, and of course everyone's favorite, spam. Yum. I'm sure in the early days of the internet, the experience was almost life-changing. But just like with anything good, there's always a bad side. Chain emails. And worse yet, the cursed chain emails. It's important to remember the state of internet horror in the early 2000s. It was nothing like today. There were those creepy websites that drummed up buzz for upcoming horror movies like The Grudge, creepy Angel Fire sites like Ted the Caver, and of course, who can forget horror games on Newgrounds? But that's about it. So when you'd get an email with a weird story and threats of bodily harm, yeah, we ate it up. I'm sure most of you have a good idea what chain emails are, but for my younger audience, chain emails are just emails that trick people into forwarding messages to as many people as possible through promises or threats, or sometimes both. The idea is that a single email can kickstart an exponentially growing chain of emails. Here's a few examples of chain emails that I'm sure most of you will recognize. For every person that you email this to, Microsoft will pay you $200. American Red Cross will donate 5 cents to delivering care and comfort to those in need. Hotmail needs to delete users and wants to make sure that your account is active, so please forward this to everyone. To understand the history of chain emails, we have to start at the beginning. The idea behind chain emails isn't really a new thing. In fact, chain letters began in the late 1800s when the Bishop of Bedford tried to use chain letters to defeat Jack the Ripper. He wanted to establish a home for destitute women to protect them from the murderous night prowler and thought what he called a snowball collection was a fantastic fundraising idea. However, the bishop ran into telephone game problems. The donation addresses and amount needed were corrupted in the replication, and the letters became so numerous and error-filled that they had to run a newspaper advertisement to break the chain. Eventually, chain emails became the domain of con artists who knew that with a little wordsmanship and a single letter, scammers could pull in money for nothing. And then email came, which made the scam even easier. No longer did links in the correspondence chain have to painstakingly copy, address, and mail pieces of paper. All it took was the click of a forward button. Now, it was easy enough to do that pranksters could start chains on a whim, and once started, chain emails were difficult to squelch. Now, before we get to the cursed emails, I'd like to take a second to explain the concept of the Nocebo Effect. Most of us are familiar with the placebo effect. That's when a person experiences positive side effects because they've been told they've been given a drug or remedy, even when they haven't. Well, similar to the placebo effect, the nocebo effect is when a person experiences negative side effects because they've been told they've been given a drug or remedy said to have those negative side effects, once again, even if they haven't. For example, if a person was told a pharmaceutical has the side effect of hallucinating green skeletons, the patient will hallucinate green skeletons, even if he or she was given a pill without those side effects. Just because a curse may not be real, doesn't mean it can't have a very real effect on a person's life. So, the point is, if you don't believe in curses, let's try to keep this in mind when considering these cursed email chains. Now we get to the good stuff, cursed chain emails. Cursed emails are just like chain emails, but of course threaten the recipient with bad luck or misfortune to them or their loved ones. Now let's look at a couple of real-life examples of cursed emails. One cursed chain email threatened that the ghost of a murderous child named Clarissa would bleed you to death in your sleep if you didn't forward it. Another introduced the ghost of a 7-year-old named Teddy with no eyeballs and a blood-stained face, who threatened to kill the recipient in their sleep if the message wasn't forwarded to 12 more people. The first one I want to show you is probably the most infamous, the Bloody Mary email. Now, we all know Bloody Mary from our school days, right? Well, this email begins by stating that the moment you open the email, the curse has begun. If you don't follow the instructions to the letter, then you'll suffer one of the many detailed fates, all depending on how many people you send it to, of course. So, this message plays on schoolyard fears, and it's clearly written for children, even going as far as to say, "What are your parents gonna do if they find you dead?" And as laughable and childish as this one is, kids believed this and sent this message along. Somehow, this silly old email became the most pervasive cursed email on the internet at one time. I even found stories from parents whose children were so traumatized by this email that they had nightmares for months, if not years. There's also one about the ghost of Carmen Winstead, who was pushed down a well during a school fire drill. It's been seen on email and of course good old Facebook. This one's definitely my favorite, and I'd like to read it in all its ridiculous glory.
Subject line: she was pushed.
About 6 years ago in Indiana, Carmen Winstead was pushed down a sewer opening by 5 girls in her school who were trying to embarrass her during a fire drill. When she didn't surface, the police were called. They went down and brought up 17-year-old Carmen Winstead's body. The neck broke hitting the ladder, then side concrete at the bottom. The girls told everyone she fell, and they believed them.
Fact.
2 months ago, 16-year-old David Gregory read this post and didn't repost it. When he went to take a shower, he heard laughter coming from the shower drain. He started to freak out and ran to his computer to repost it. He said goodnight to his mom and went to sleep. 5 hours later, his mom woke up in the middle of the night because of a loud noise. David was gone. That morning, a few hours later, police found him in the sewer. His neck broke and his face skin peeled off. If you don't repost this saying she was pushed or they pushed her down a sewer, then Carmen will get you. Either from a sewer, the toilet, the shower, or when you go to sleep you'll wake up in the sewer in the dark. Then Carmen will come and kill you. There are plenty more that follow the same pattern, with different ghosts and killers carrying out the curse. Like a killer clown or Scary Mary, who will come at you through a mirror if you don't forward the email. There's even one featuring a killer Mickey Mouse, who will slit your throat, fork out your eyeballs, and stuff your body under your bed. These usually have headings just like our Bloody Mary email. "This email has been cursed. Once opened, you must send it." Some people might even add made-up victims to the end of the email to give it a little something as they send it along. These days, highly intelligent spam filters have saved our lives and our souls from most of these cursed digital objects. And most of us have shifted the bulk of our online communication to messaging platforms and socials anyways. But if history teaches us anything, you can't keep a curse buried for good. The cursed letter adapted to the cursed email, which then turned into the cursed text or cursed tweet.
Retweet this in 5 seconds or your mom will die.
On the other hand, it only takes a second to retweet a cursed chain message. Besides, what if it's true? Thanks everybody for watching today's episode, and sorry for the little delay. I had to take some time off for family and to take care of a few important things this summer. Anyways, we're well on our way to 400 subscribers, so thank you guys so much for everything. If you liked the video, you know what to do. Now, check out this video for some strange, creepy, and disturbing folk and fairy tales. Thanks everybody. Good night.
This is not a joke. You are now cursed.
You're being cursed.